So hello everyone. In this lecture I am going to cover the complete experiment number 2. The required thing I have almost discussed in the previous sessions, but quickly I will cover in this session so that you can get the content in a single session. So in this experiment actually you need to write some of the shell script. Those are given by the end of the experiment. So these scripts, like if I show you, these are very easy scripts which you are asked to write in the end of this particular experiment. Like you have to write a script to produce a multiplication table, write a shell script to implement a small calculator, and write a shell script to display the prime numbers up to a given limit. For performing all these tasks, you need to know the variable declaration. So I jump on top, that I have already discussed the variable declaration, so you are aware about. Then you need to be aware about the input output redirection. So we have already discussed the input output redirection. You can check the previous video which I have uploaded. After the redirection, you need to be aware about how to manipulate the variables which you are declaring. So let's say you want to add two variables or multiply two variables or increment or decrement or a number of things. You need to be comfortable with that. Either you can use expr command, or you can use bc command, or you can use another environment like dollar double braces environment, right? Then flow control. So now today we are going to discuss the flow control, in which we talk about the if statement, if then else, or you can say nested if kind of a statement. So when we want to use if statement, generally we use if and then we write a condition. How to write a condition, in my previous session I have represented. So either you can use test or square bracket sign here when you want to put a condition. Okay, and you can use the operator which I have mentioned there, like greater than or less than or equal to, less than, equal to, not equal to kind of operator I have discussed. So you put the condition in that way, and then whatever you want to write, let's say you want to print some message, then you write here echo and then the message. And if you want to check another condition, you can apply elif. So this is elif. You can compare this thing with else if in C or Java programming. Then you can write some of the things. Condition, you know that whatever the condition you want to check, you can apply here, and then you can write the required thing here, and then you can close it. If you want to put more elif, you can put, otherwise at last you will write else and then the right final message or whatever you want to do here, and then close your if with fi. Okay, so we start if and we close with fi, right? In between, if you want to check further conditions, you can use lf. So that is the else. Now the next interesting statement or control statement is case. We use case like this. So we write case and then we can use a variable on which we want to apply the test, and then we use in, and then we write the values. So let's say you want to take a variable, like you want to check the month. So you are taking a variable input like 1, 2, 3 till 12, and if user is inputting 1, you want to display, let's say, January. If user is inputting 2, you want to display February, and so on. So here you can take the test value, like you can take dollar month. You can read month variable by using read command. Okay, I'll demonstrate you later on, so just go through it. And then value 1, so you put here 1 only, and then you can type echo in double quote January, and this semicolon, and then 2, and then you can print, let's say, February, then 3, then you can put like March, and so on. Okay, this star we put for default. When any of these cases will not match, then this default case will be considered, and here you can put some default message, and your case will be terminated with ESAC. ESAC in a small ESAC. This E should be small, right? ESAC. So like we are closing if with FI, and CASE we are closing with ESAC, right? Then one sample program has been given here so you can understand it. Let's say number is one of the variable, you are passing one string as 1, and this string you want to check. So if this is 1, then this statement will be printed. If num will have value 2, then this statement will be printed. If num value will have 3, then this statement will be printed, and so on. Now after that you need to learn how to apply loop. Generally we use two types of loops, for loop and while loop. Okay, so in this lecture we are covering how you can apply the while loop, and then you apply some condition, any condition, any expression within this square bracket. And while loop starts with do and it closes with done. In between do and done, whatever statement you write, it continuously executing until this condition becomes false. Okay, so that is the structure of while loop. After while loop, one sample is also given in your manual, so you can go through it. You apply like number 0, you're comparing the number, and this is the operator which we use for LT, means less than sign, and you are comparing with 10, right? So if this is less than 10, then it will become true, and if it is true, it will print this number. So this number is actually 0, so it will print 0, and then you increment. So this is backtick environment. I already explained this backtick environment. It replaces the command output. So in expr, if you are passing num plus 1, that means num is 0, it will make num plus 1 means 0 plus 1, it will become 1, and 1 will be assigned to num. Again it will check while num, so num means 1 is less than 10, again it will print. So earlier it has printed 0, now it will print 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, until 9. Once it become 10, this condition will become false, it will not display, right? So I hope this program is very easy to understand. Then the for loop is having different variations in shell scripting to apply. So the very easy one or prominent one, we write for, then we give a variable, then we write in keyword, and then we pass the list. So this variable which you write here, it will pick up the value from this list which you mention here. Then you write do and done. In between you write the set of commands which you want to execute. So it is very easy loop to apply, right? So a sample is given, a list is given like 1 2 3 4 5, you have given as a string, and you are taking a variable, let's say I, and I is taking value from this list which you have declared here. Okay, and your num is 1, let's say initially num is a variable. Now you are executing this loop, so this I first takes the value as 1, and you are printing the num is 1 only, then num is becoming num plus 1 here, so num will become 2 next time, then I will take value next time from 2, so when I will become 2 next time, num will become 2, because this is one of the sample script has been written. Okay, once you learn apply if else condition and loop, variable declaration and all, you can do this exercise easily. So now let me demonstrate you. Okay, so I have already created some of the sample scripts, so let's look at one by one. So let's check the if first. So I have created if else fi script. Now let's check it. So I have written this script like I'm checking. I told you in the previous session that $has is the count of the total number of command line arguments which we pass to this script when we execute this script, right? So we are checking if total number of arguments are greater than 2, then we print this. more than 2 arguments were passed. But in case it is not true, then it will execute the else part, and else part it is saying 2 or fewer arguments were passed. Okay, so this is very easy to understand. Now let's run it. So if I run this script, there are multiple ways. I can set the executable permission by using chmod, or I can type +x. If I don't want to go in this detail, then I can use just bash and type the script name, and let's say I'm passing some arguments like this. So I'm passing here 3 arguments, okay, 10, 20, 30 kind of thing. Now let's do it. So it is saying more than 2 arguments were passed. If I pass less argument, let's say only 2 argument, then it is saying 2 or fewer argument were passed. And if I pass only 1 argument, let's say it is saying 2 or fewer argument were passed. Okay, so if you want to see the script is here. Okay, so I hope the use of $has you are aware about. It is maintaining the total count of the argument which we are passing at command line. Okay, so this is the use of if. Now if you want to apply elif, then we can go for elif also. So the next is, you see that if elif. Now here what exactly I am doing, so try to check it. I'm entering 3 numbers. So user will enter 3 number, num1, num2, num3, and I'm trying to print the largest number in this. So whatever the number is largest, it will be printed here, right? So I'm printing the largest number. Now look at, then I will elaborate what is happening. So it is very easy program. Read command you are aware about, echo command you are aware about. So the first line, second line, the very first line is shebang line. You understand that, right? So once you have taken these 3 numbers with the help of read command, what exactly you are doing here? You are checking if, and you are writing this first condition. If num1 $1 GT means greater than num2. If num1 is greater than num2, and this operator I have already elaborated, and num1 is also greater than num3, that means if number 1 is greater than 2 as well as 3, that means number 1 is the largest one. So I'm saying the largest number is num1. The same logic I am applying in elif for num2. Num2 is greater than num1, I am checking, and num2 is greater than num3, then I am concluding num2 is the largest one. Else, if num1 is not largest, num2 is not largest, the remaining number is largest, that is num3, so I am printing the largest number is num3. Okay, so let's execute it. Now I execute with the help of like bash and my script name, and I'm giving num1 is 10, num2 is 2, and num3 is, let's say, 30. It is saying the largest number is 30. If I give in any other way, like num1 is 1, num2 is 20, num3 is, let's say, 32. Again 32 is highest. If I give, let's say, the first number is 100, second is 2, third is 3, the largest number is 100. Okay, so I hope if L is also clear to you. So if I use if elif, you can check the structure which I have used here, right? So I hope you can understand how it is working. I am entering 3 numbers and getting the largest one. Now let's check the next one. The next is, let's say, switch case. So when I'm applying the switch case, I have written a program for month. So you look at the program, I am printing the month. So check it. I want that user should enter one number. So I'm entering the number between 1 to 12. Once the user will enter a numeric value, let's say 1, my program will display January. If user enters 2, my program will display February. If user enters 3, my program will display March, and so on. But if user doesn't enter 1 to 12, then my program display a kind of error message, invalid input, right? So switch case, as it is already given in your manual, you check we use one variable here, and that variable I am taking from user num. Okay, and this is the structure. So we use in here and case here, case num in, and then we write all the cases. So one, and then the braces, and whatever I want to run. So echo January and the semicolon, then echo February 2, 3, 4, and in default case I'm writing invalid case. Okay, and this case will be closed with ESAC. So I hope this code is very easy to understand. Now let me execute it. So I use bash and my script name, and I'm entering, let's say 1, it will give me January. If I enter, let's say 2, it will give me February, and so on. If I give 5, it will give me May, and if I'm giving 12, it is December. But if I'm entering, let's say 20, 20 is not the valid, so it will say invalid input. So this is the one of the example of switch case. You can use wherever you require. It is not necessary you use switch case. You may use only if else, or you can go for switch case, right? But switch case is easy to manage. If else, it may be difficult to manage when it becomes nested if else. Now look at the next thing, loop. So when it comes to loop, there are for and while loop. The structure you have already checked. So for loop can be applied in a number of ways. So let me elaborate all the for loop, how we can apply in a number of ways. Okay, so as you can see, we write for, then the variable we can give in list, and then do, and then done. So do and done defines the body of the loop, and in between we write the commands like this. So let's say for loop, and item is one of the variable in, and this is the list. Let's say item 1, item 2, item 3, and then do and done will define the body, and inside it I am printing the item. So when I run this particular program, it will first display item 1, then item will pick up second value, so item 2, then item will pick up the third value, so item 3. So it will display item 1, item 2, item 3. Okay, there's another way also. We can apply for loop like this also, for, and this number is a variable only in, and if all the list which I want to give it is sequential in nature, then I can use 1 dot dot, let's say till 100 or 10 or 200 I want from one particular value. If I want to start this from 10 till 20, I will give here 10 dot dot 20. I hope you understand. These curly braces need to be there, and then do and done. And if I run this particular for loop, it will print me 1 to 10 numbers. Okay. Then the next format, let's say if I want to display the name of all the files and directories available somewhere, let's say the path is given here. So I can use for file is a variable in. Here I am defining a path to a directory, and slash star I am putting there. So that means I am passing here the path of a directory. Whatever the directory, you can take any directory. So let's say in my machine I am having root, I am having home, and let's say student, and if I want to list out the content of a student, I can put a star here. Okay, so I will write for variable name is, let's say, file, and keyword in I put here, and then this thing. Okay, then I can do apply do here, and I can start printing echo dollar file, let's say, and then done. So what it will do, this program, this will print all the names of files and directories those are available in home student. This star represent the list of all the names of present working directory content, right? So one by one it will be printing, and this for loop will be continuing. So this is the way. One more thing is, we may run a command here, and that command is displaying some list. Okay, from that list we want to pick these items. So item is a variable in some command, you can run a command here, whatever the command will return a number of values, one value it will pick every time, and this loop will keep on executing, right? So this is also one way. And then you can apply for loop on array also. So let's say if I define my array, the name of the array is my array. Now in this my array, I am defining item 1, item 2 and item 3. I may give further items also, no problem. So I use this variable, any variable like item here. For item, this is a variable. In is a keyword, and then I am passing the values of array. So you know that I told you in one of these sessions, you can check that if you want to access all the values, if you want to display all the values of an array, you use @ inside this square bracket. In this environment, dollar curly braces. So that means all the element of array you are putting here, and this for loop will pick up one by one, and the elements are item 1, item 2, item 3. So this will print like item 1 first. The output will be item 1, then item 2, then item 3. I hope you are getting it. So this is also one of the use of for loop. Then while, you know that, so while you can apply, it is given in your manual also, while, and the condition do done, you can do it, right? So let's run one program and then we will close this session. Okay, so let's say you want to print the Fibonacci series. I'm applying a loop. So I'm having one code for Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series, you know that Fibonacci series is a series or sequence of items in which the first and second items are fixed, let's say 0 and 1. But when two items are given, the remaining item can be calculated. Like, so when we add one first item and second item, the third will be generated. The sum of second and third will give you the fourth, and so on. Okay, so let's look at the code. In this, what actually I'm doing here is, here first I'm taking one number n, and it is deciding how many number of terms I want to print in Fibonacci series. Okay, and initial term I am taking as 0 and 1. So the first two terms of Fibonacci series we need to input, or we need to consider 0 and 1. I am considering, you can consider maybe 1 and 2, right? And now I am printing the Fibonacci series with the help of for. So I wanted to display, there is another way of applying for loop. This is another way. Inside for, you can use this double bracket environment. Okay, once you use this double bracket environment, you did not to put dollar in front of I. You write the expression or syntax similar to C or Java programming, right? So you are not putting $I, and you can use increment operator also. But remember, you cannot follow this syntax without having this double quote environment. Okay, so in modern shell script, we use double bracket environment. In traditional, we don't use this one, right? So when we use this double quote, we don't put dollar before the variable name. Okay, so now we are setting the value of I from 0 to a value n, and user is entering. So I'm reading the value of n, and I am incrementing the value of I, right? Now after that, I am printing the value of a. What is a? A actually initially it is 0. Okay, and this n, when you set -n option in echo, it doesn't print the new line. By default, when you print anything in echo, it will display your prompt to the new line. If you don't want to switch to the new line, you set -n option. Okay, so we print this value of a, and then we print here a space. There is a space, right? And then we are adding these a and b value. So first we have printed a, then we have added a and b, and then we allocate the value of b to a. So next time when we print a, actually we will be printing the value of b. Okay, and this, the value of b, we are updating with the value of fn. Fn means Fibonacci number, right? So in that way, a is getting printed and the value of B is shifting in A. So every time, and the sum we are storing in Fn and we are allocating Fn to B. So in that way it is keep on printing with the help of A. Okay. So I hope this is not very difficult to understand. Let's run it. Now if you run this Fibonacci series, so I'm running it, let's say bash, and I'm entering, I want to display only 5 terms of Fibonacci, so it will display like this. The initial term we have decided 0 and 1. Third term will be the addition of first two, 0 and 1. When you add 0 plus 1, it will give you 1. When you add 1 plus 1, it will give you 2. When you add 1 plus 2, it will give you 3, and so on. If you want to display 10 terms, then you enter it and give 10. It will display 10. So first two terms are fixed, 0, 1. Third is addition of these two. Then the fourth is addition of these two. Then the fifth is addition of these two, 2 and 1. Then this one is the addition of this one. 8 is the addition of 3, 5, and so on. Okay. So I hope this session will help you to understand if, switch case, for loop, and while loop also, right? So I'm closing, and this is the end of your experiment 2. From next session onward, we'll be talking about the experiment 3. Thank you everyone. Happy learning.